Hi everyone, this is BritSimon. This evening Trump signed the executive order for the ban on immigration, and I've had a look at that for us all. Let me just open this for you. I've included the link to the actual order in my article here, which I'll also include the link for down in the comments below. But you can read what the order says. But let me just summarize it for you in a few points. Firstly, the ban that he signed doesn't affect people who already have a valid immigrant visa. So if you've been through the DV lottery interview process and you've been approved, and you've got your passport back with a visa in there, and you were just waiting to activate your LPR status, your green card status, that you're not affected. That is excluded from the ban, and that's very similar to the bans before. So I've already been telling people that was the case, that they wouldn't be affected, and sure enough, that's how the executive order is written. It also doesn't apply to existing permanent residents, so that's a good thing. Permanent residents right now can still travel back to the USA. Whereas if you have an immigrant visa, you are not yet considered a resident of the USA, and therefore cannot enter from some countries. There are travel restrictions in place anyway. Airlines won't fly people from certain areas. And if you have a valid immigrant visa, you cannot overcome those restrictions. Okay, but if you have an existing permanent resident card, green card, then you can overcome those restrictions. So just to clarify that. The ban doesn't affect people who are inside the USA looking to adjust status. So if you're on like an F1 or some sort of temporary visa here, and you're adjusting status, you're unaffected by this ban. You can adjust status in the USA. And if you're current now, you can be submitting your I-485. So for some of you that were considering going through consular processing, now would be a good time to switch to adjust status inside the USA. That could be a good opportunity for you. You would avoid this waiting period. The ban does include, I'll have to correct that typo, DV lottery cases. There are some exceptions in the ban for EB5s and a couple of other categories, but the ban does affect DV lottery cases. There are some exceptions in the ban regarding medical professionals. So if you're a doctor or a nurse or something abroad and you're a DV lottery winner, you may be able to still be approved for a visa within this time period. Although we'll talk about the embassy closures in a moment, so that might be impossible anyway. But so it might be possible for some people. So if, for example, you're on AP and you're a doctor or a nurse or something, perhaps you can be approved and receive your visa right now, if the embassies are still working and still processing your case. The order itself starts from tomorrow night, and it lasts for 60 days. So it will go until it'll cover the remainder of April, all of May, obviously, and into June, and it will end during late June. It can be extended, so Trump may decide to extend the executive order and extend the ban. We don't know that yet. There's no point in speculating about that. But at the moment it only covers until June. So let's just make a couple of points here. The executive order is likely to be challenged, legally. I'm sure somebody is already preparing to challenge it within a federal court. It usually takes a week or two to create a challenge like that, so there will be some sort of impact even if it's challenged. But the order itself only lasts 60 days. So in a sense, the 60 days isn't long enough for a full legal process to go through. So it could be that you'll see some sort of challenge. There could be some sort of blockage agreed by a federal court. There probably would not be time to have this fully tested through the courts right up to the Supreme Court, because the ban itself would end after 60 days anyway. So there may be some relief there, but we don't know how that's going to play out. So for now, let's just don't think about that too much, about the sort of the challenging part, or the length of time. No, so let's talk about what this means practically. Embassies are currently already closed. The reality was interviews were cancelled during March and April, and then May interviews were cancelled too. There has been a few embassies that have started to reschedule some interviews for late May and early June. Those interviews may still go ahead, but they wouldn't be able to approve or issue the visas if this ban is in place. That's effectively how this would work. The ban will stop the issuance of visas, because normally if you're issued a visa, that gives you permission to enter the USA. So this isn't a ban on people who already hold visas. It's a ban of issuing more visas to people, right? So the embassy may say to you, okay, come for an interview in June, and once the ban is over, you'll be on AP until the ban is over, and then once the ban is over, maybe they could issue. So that could be how they'll play it, but we don't know for sure. They may just say, actually, under the terms of the ban, we're not even going to interview people. I don't know. That's just speculation at the moment. We'll have to see how the embassies react. But in any case, those embassies are closed right now, and some of those closures are going to be extended. In countries where the situation is bad with the pandemic, they're probably going to keep those embassies closed. So this ban is almost a non-issue, because a non-event, because of the impact already being felt by the pandemic. So I'm feeling reasonably confident that this is not the end of the road for DV 2020. If the ban itself is not extended, a 60-day blockage when we're already blocked, or a 60-day ban when we're already stopped by the pandemic, is not really important. The clock is ticking while that 60-day clock is ticking while we're already impacted. So it's not such a big deal as people were panicking about a couple of days ago. It will have little or no impact on DV 2021. I don't think it'll stop the announcement of the winners. There's no reason why they would stop the announcement of the winners. DV 2021 cases normally would be announced in May. That may be pushed to June now, as we know. But there's no DV 2021 interview possible until the 1st of October this year. So unless the executive order is extended greatly, it's not going to impact DV 2021 processing at all. Okay, so that's kind of it. It doesn't need a long video for this. I just wanted to get this out and explain that information. So hopefully that's that's going to quell some of your fears. Obviously this is unfortunate. It's sad. It's a kick in the teeth for absolutely no reason. It's a distraction technique by Trump, because he's obviously under so much pressure for all of the mistakes that him and his administration have made. This is simply a distraction technique. It has nothing to do with protecting jobs in the USA. That's complete nonsense. This is just something to feed his supporters with some red meat, and distract his opponents with something to be arguing about, and nothing more than that. Anyway, I hope that explains everything for you about this executive order. it is something to worry about. It is a nuisance, but let's not be overly worried about the whole thing. Now we know something more about it rather than just the tweet that was issued. We can understand what it means and digest it. So that's a good thing. All right, okay. That would be about it for this evening. It's fairly late here in California, so I'll leave it at that. But keep well, keep safe, everybody, and please, by all means, pop over to my blog and let me know what you're thinking about this ban. Okay, bye bye.